get some better lighting figured out. Got this like half moon thing going on. It's whatever. What's up, guys? So this is going to be a technical breakdown of the speed video I put out the other week. Took me a while to get around to doing a breakdown for this video. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out. If you do like the video or find it useful, please like, comment, subscribe. Let's get right to it. So the first one, our flying 15s, we had a 15-meter build-up and then a 15-meter actual sprint distance. So the great thing with this exercise is we can take out the emphasis from that acceleration phase. We don't really have to worry about building up speed over a short period of time. We've got that nice distance to build up to our top speed, and then we can actually focus on our top speed. So when I was playing sports, I actually had a pretty good top speed. Believe it or not, I was actually pretty fast. The downside was my acceleration was terrible. And if you know anything about the majority of sports, that's not overly useful. Anyway, so I like to think that my speed is still pretty decent. Doing a lot of bilateral sagittal plane lifting has definitely left me with some, it's called the movement deficiencies. Basically, my mobility could be a lot better. So with the flying 15 here, my arm drive is pretty good, not too high. My shin angle is good until I actually go to plant here, and then for some reason I start to reach out in front of me and I end up making contact a little bit in front of my hips. I think that's slowing me down a bit there. If I planted a little further back, I think I'd get a lot more push off of that stride there. Also, my knee could be a little bit higher here. This is kind of what I was discussing before with my immobility. Basically, my actual ability to get my knee through while my other one is extended is not as good as it could be. So I'm working on getting my knee higher and then my shin angle better and actually pushing behind me more. Recovery leg here is pretty good. You can't really tell much from this angle, but one thing I have a bit of a problem with is kind of chopping a little more across. So that's one thing I kind of focus on a lot of these drills. So I really like bounds for working on that contact, making that strike powerful. And then that transition between strides, you have to be really quick recovering that leg through. So here, just really making sure I'm powerful off that stride and then really quick recovering through into the next step. Now, I don't know what it is, my left arm, I could definitely have a little more bend in my elbow there. Comes quite far out in front of me, but I think my movement at my shoulder is pretty good here. Now, I'm getting a good extension, but you can see very visibly my front shin is basically completely perpendicular with the ground as I'm driving off the ground, which I don't want. That should be way more back. So I'm really, it's not like a heel strike, but I'm hitting with my midfoot here. So that's way too far in front of me. So definitely want to keep that back more. So I think for me here, I'm really getting a little too fixated on the distance here and not fixated enough on the technical components. So I'm kind of reaching forward because, yeah, I feel like I'm getting farther, but I'm not actually getting as powerful a drive in my next step. If anything, I'm actually decelerating. So that's something I really want to fix. And again, with this, I could definitely be getting my front knee a little bit higher here. So the single leg bound could definitely be a lot better. I was almost leaning towards calling this kind of a combination of a bound and a single leg pogo, just because I'm not getting my knee to really cycle through that full movement like I want to. I am getting a lot of emphasis in that more extended position and still getting a good drive into my full hip extension here. So to approach this from a different standpoint, I'm definitely getting less carryover to my forefoot strike and that power off that initial phase of the drive, but I am getting good extension and a good kind of push through that end range of motion and then into the next step. But realistically, for a bound, I want my knee coming up and going through that full cycle, which I obviously don't have the air time or transition speed to actually do at this point. So probably sticking with the double leg bounds is better for now. Now, even if I were to use this for, say, end range strength or power through my stride, I am heel striking way too much here. Again, getting fixated on distance and not actually having the power to get myself as far as I should. I'm really letting my foot get way in front of me. So this is something that does need a lot of work. So lastly, we have these arm drills. These are great for arm drive coordination. A lot of people don't have much trouble cycling their legs quickly, but tend to have to think a lot more about their arms. So this is really good practice. So right away, you can see my front arm with this is way too high. That really only needs to be coming up to about cheek level there. And I feel like this happens because my shoulder mobility isn't great. So I would have this tendency to really force my arm up in order to get that range But what ended up happening obviously is that I'm overdriving here and kind of wasting energy with this movement. But if we go back to my actual running videos, I don't have the same issue. So I'm thinking this probably goes back to this like anterior oblique sling, just coordination between my arm and my knee, or maybe the tension created from my ipsilateral hip being fully extended through there creates enough tension that I don't have that issue with overextending here. I can't really nail it down to one thing specifically, other than more than likely I'm just thinking too hard about it during this drill, and then when I'm actually running I don't really have that issue. So, but obviously it's a little counterproductive when I can coordinate my arms a little better during the actual run, and then when I actually try to work on my arm coordination and speed, I'm screwing it up a bit. So just have to think a little less about this one. I hope you liked that quick little breakdown. Let me know if you found this helpful or if there's anything you want me to talk about in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, guys. This is real life. Be ready to perform.